Hi, everyone, and welcome to this very special episode of Media Talks. I'm delighted to introduce my fourth guest in the series. Her name is Nicole, and she's a client partner at Media Monks. And of course, Media Monks needs no introduction. So, Nicole, welcome.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. And lovely to be here.
I'm really grateful that you are here. So, Media Monks, huge global brand. Most of us in the industry know what you guys do and who you are, but we don't know who you are. So, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Short introduction. My name is Nicole Niemann. I'm basically a Dutch living in London, moved to London a little over 3 years ago. I've been working in the digital industry for more than 20 years, mostly at agency side, until I thought it was time to set up my own agency. So I started a social marketing agency. Unfortunately, it didn't work out as I hoped it would. And then by chance, I became an independent consultant for about 6 years. One of my assignments led me to Brussels. So I lived there for about 2.5 years, and I really enjoyed living abroad, getting to know new people, getting to know a new city. So I decided to do it again, but then somewhere else. Unfortunately, COVID hit. But I already made plans to make the move. So I just moved to London without a job. Thought was very confident being in digital. I could find something. I did. It took a bit longer than I expected, but after a couple of months, I found this job at MediaMonk. Started off as a program lead, and now as a client partner, being responsible for a couple of accounts within the company. Um, yeah, that's a bit about me. Still single, no kids.
So
Like
let me just backtrack a second. So you moved abroad to London in the height just at the beginning of COVID.
it was basically in the midst of it. I moved to London May 2020.
Okay.
Um, the, Actually, I wasn't allowed to travel at all, but like I said, the plans were there. Already, gave notice to my flat in Brussels. I had a tenant in Amsterdam, so I couldn't go back there. And like I said, I thought, I'll make the move anyway. So it was a bit of a challenge. Put all my
I'd
boxes
say.
in my car, and I drove to London. So the only the
Wow.
only fear I had was because the borders between Belgium and France were closed, so that they might, stop me because I actually did not have any, economical reason to move to London. But in the end, it all worked out well. And yeah, I came in a very empty London, beautiful weather. I remember it as the day of yesterday. But yeah, no, it was quite a trip. No traffic, no people in the streets. Everything was closed.
Yeah, it's funny
So yeah,
because it wasn't that long ago, but I don't know about you, but it feels like a lifetime ago.
absolutely. Yeah, and also because you hardly hear anything about it anymore.
Huh?
And also if you see the difference between London at that time and now, it's you can't imagine basically that we were in a full shutdown.
Yeah, I bet it was really eerie, wasn't it?
It was, yes, but it was on the other hand, it was challenging. But at the same time, I found a flat near Hyde Park, started running every day, and then in the meantime looking for jobs. I think I sent out for more than 1,000 applications at the time, but also made new friends. So basically, for a lot of people, 2020 was a terrible year. For me, it was a year of moving countries, making new friends. Found a job in the end, moved apartments. So actually, it was not too bad.
Exciting. So when you joined Media Monks, that was in the middle of COVID, so I assume remote working, you'd moved to a new city, new friends, like how does one navigate that?
Well, the thing was because I lived in Brussels already 2 years, and also there, you have to push yourself basically to build a new life. I only had two sets of friends in London. Due to COVID, couldn't see them very often, but I did manage to make new friends. When I started Media Monks, the funny thing was, I think the office was still open for about 2 weeks, and then everything went back in another lockdown. I was also working for a client where basically there were no one in the London office was working for that client. So, but for me, I thought, going to the office at least meet some people, and from that we will build it from there. I became friends with my neighbor who lived upstairs, and through her, met some other friends. I must admit, we did not always obey the COVID rules. So basically, yeah, we had some drinks at people's houses, bring some wine and try to make the best of it. And then, yeah, I was so happy to have found the job and start working again after being a couple of months off, which was fine. But not having a job and not knowing that you're going to have a job is obviously very different than if you take some time off, knowing you can come back. But yeah, I think in the end it worked out well. And also the energy I'm getting, from the new city now, I must admit, I love London.
Mm.
That really helped in being inspired and move forward with things.
So where are you now? So fast forward a couple of 3 years, 3.5 years since COVID, and the world has changed again. 2023 has been a tough year for most of the industry. How are you guys faring, and how have you? Because there has been a real transformation, I would say, or change for the good or for the better or the worse, depending on who you speak to. But in 2023, so 2020 was hard, the lockdown. Now 2023 has been likened to being even tougher than it was back then.
Yes, I must admit that, let's say for Media Monks, if you look at their growth in the last 5 years, 6 years, that has been massive. They've acquired a lot of over 30 companies. So basically, until this year, I think things really progressed quite well. We grew a lot. We got a lot of new business in as well. Clients are growing. But as any other company, yes, currently we also noticed that things are a bit more difficult than they were before. The other thing that we're doing now is more consolidating and making sure that the integration of all the companies is a bit more smoothly. You can imagine that with that growth, when Media Monks started to grow within London, there were 500 people. That was 5 years ago. We're now over 9,000 people. So you can imagine, that comes with changes, with the proper integration of teams and businesses. So the focus for 2023 was really a bit more internally, making sure that processes were aligned, teams were aligned. But yeah, I think like any other advertising or digital agency, we're also facing a bit more challenges this year. Advertisers holding back a bit. On the other hand, some of the business is still growing quite well. So it's a bit of a mixture, basically. But yeah, we think that there were some layoffs as well in the US.
Yeah.
So yes, like I said, like any other company, I think we're facing similar challenges at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, it's generally across the board. I mean, obviously you get those companies or those little sectors within the industry that are thriving, but overall, I did a poll recently, and I asked my LinkedIn following, whether they felt like things were getting better, and I think it was about 85% said no, not yet. Which is worrying, because I think like all year we were kind of hoping that toward the end of the year, Q4, things would really start picking up. And I don't know about you guys, but certainly that hasn't been the case, or it hasn't been the growth kind of trajectory that we were hoping for. So what's your thoughts on 2024? Do you think things are gonna, because I like to be optimistic, and I think every time there's a downturn, then we get to see the up. But I'm not sure I'm feeling that so much at the moment with the people that I'm chatting to.
No, I think, like you said, I think the uplift is being postponed a bit. I'm not sure if postponed is the right word, but I think it's coming in a bit later than we all expected. I think that also has to do, with the war in Ukraine, which obviously is taking a long time. But now that the new, yeah, let's say the new war that started is obviously not helping. I do believe, like in like similar like you, I'm also a very optimistic person. I do believe that probably mid 2024 it's gonna pick up again, as things probably settle down, or we're more used to how things are at the moment. I think that's a moment as well to pick up. Another thing is we see huge potential with AI, and I think there is a lot to gain with that, and help our clients to integrate that in one way or the other, and create efficiencies across the board. So I think in that respect, probably mid 2024, towards, Q3 and 4, that will be, it will go better, be
Yeah,
better.
let's hope so for everybody. Let's talk about AI for a minute. Obviously, I guess you guys have to kind of be at the forefront, as should most companies now. It's obviously not going away. Should we be afraid of AI as from a talent perspective? Is it going to wipe us all out from having a job?
No, absolutely not. I think at least that's our belief, that it will help and also create opportunities. But obviously, you need to be mindful and make sure that you provide people with with the right tools in order to get acquainted with how they can apply it for our clients. But yeah, we've been promoting it for a long time already. And although it is a disruptive technology, we do believe that it will help our businesses to grow, to help it be more specific and empower, let's say, our clients for more, their customers be more, how do you say that, relevant,
Mhm.
create more relevant content in a higher pace. The one thing to watch out for, obviously, is the focus on compliance and regarding copyright issues. But we have a dedicated legal team in place in order to make sure that that is all safeguarded in a proper way. I think that's one of the watchouts, and internally they feel very strongly about that.
Mm.
But one of the things, for example, that we're doing is building our own tools. So, for example, we have a Monk GPT, which we use internally, and they're promoting that to use that internally to make sure that we make the right use of the tools that are out there.
You have your own version of ChatGPT that's just for media monks.
Yes, correct.
Wow, I love that. How would one even go about doing that?
I don't know that. Obviously, I don't know the technical side of things, but it's basically meant to make sure that we use ChatGPT in a good way, in a proper way. Obviously, there's lots of information out there, but on the other hand, not all the information is accurate. And in order to make sure that we use it in a proper way and to get the right information out there, they decided to create their own, let's say, ChatGPT, which we call our Monk GPT.
I love that. It's funny, isn't it? Because ChatGPT hasn't been around very long, really, in the big scale of things. But I find myself, even on a daily basis, thinking, oh, I better just quickly run that past ChatGPT. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're a trained journalist. You know how to write something. But I
Yeah,
feel like now it's just become like, all new technology is just second nature. Like, even it's like I don't turn the radio on anymore. I tell Alexa to put on what station I want. And that's so normal now.
yeah, no, absolutely. But I think, and this is also, in a broader perspective of AI, it's like, I mean, mobile was being announced years ago as the new big thing. It took much longer than expected. But then in the end, that changed obviously the way that we communicate on one hand, but also how we use the tool, how we get information to ourselves. I think AI is a similar thing. It is disruptive, but I think you need to embrace it, and make sure that you know how to use it as well. Otherwise
Yeah.
you're gonna lag behind. You're gonna miss out. But I fully understand your point. Like, but it's the same. Like, when I grew up, there were no mobile phones, and we were very well capable of meeting our
Yeah.
friends in time at places without any so I think on a social level, definitely change, but professionally as well, it will change how we go about things, definitely.
How will that help or hinder someone who has been in the industry for a while, maybe I don't know, a producer, or it doesn't really matter what the job is, but they come up the ranks in a traditional way. Maybe they went to university and they worked their way up or whatever, but they're now competing against people that are just graduating, where AI is just normal, second nature to them. How would someone navigate that? Is it a case of doing external training? Is it a case that you guys could, specifically for Media Monks, do you provide that to upskill your existing talent? Because I think I would be fearful of that as a creative in the industry that only really knows very minimal about AI. How am I going to compete?
I think we embed it in our ways of working and make sure that you are familiar or get yourself familiar in how to use these tools. And also because we have to think on how we can apply that for our clients and, to different aspects of their business. How can you implement it? How can you use it? It's I think if and I think you need to be open for change, right? If you're afraid of change, if you're afraid of everything new that's coming in, then I think you have a challenge. If you're open to change and if you're open, everything I learned today or everything I know today, that was not at university in my days. So I think if you're open to change and make yourself aware of what's going out there, read about it, and if you do need courses or training, yes, there's definitely opportunities internally, but there are a lot of people that know a lot, about it. So there's a constant push of information internally as well on what we're doing on AI, how it can help you. Also from creatives, for example, how they use it. So we have a lot of all hands sessions or um, unmuted sessions where that is being communicated and broadcasted internally. So there's enough opportunity for yourself to dive into it and to make yourself familiar with that. And like I said, I mean, if you do need an open mindset to grow and keep growing in that respect. I never basically felt scared that I don't have all the knowledge because, like I said, if you're open to it and curious and eager to learn, then well, I wouldn't say it comes naturally, but then I think yeah, there's no threat, basically.
Mm. And it's not going anywhere, right?
Sorry?
It's not going anywhere.
No, it's
It's
not.
only
No,
gonna.
it's only going to integrate more and more in our society and how we do things. So you better embrace it and make yourself familiar with it and knows the pros, the cons, and what you can do with it. Because otherwise, I think it will leave you behind. And the same applies to companies or brands or businesses. I always thought that, but the funny thing is, when I started in digital, you were always ahead of the curve, right? So first companies, especially with the whole internet coming on, it's going to go away. Obviously, it didn't go away. So the question is not how to look at it and see what it can do, but how can you embrace it? How can you, on a small scale, test things? How can you use it? And then if it doesn't work, okay, then you try something else. If it does work, you can grow it. But yeah, I think it's here to stay, definitely.
I agree. I agree with that. I do find it a little bit daunting, some of it. Like, it's funny how it's now become part of my everyday life and how I conduct myself in business. But I suppose there's a little bit of a fear factor in terms of, well, what if I don't, what if some technology comes naturally to you, sometimes it doesn't. And I guess it's meeting in the middle between sort of your own creativity and what you'll get from that individual and how that can be benefited and enhanced by AI and new tech. Are you finding that more clients are asking for you to include that, or what aspects of that campaign has been, created by AI? Or I'm interested to hear from a
Yes.
commercial perspective.
No, what we do, for example, we have had in the London office, but also in other offices, Media Monks offices, we have the AI breakfast where we explain and we tell, let's say, clients or potential clients what you can do with it, the capabilities of it. So I think it's clients are curious, obviously. So some are asking for it, and others, we try to see, okay, what is the challenge? What is the problem that you have at hand, and how can we potentially use AI in order to solve that problem? So it's a bit of both. And the only thing that I think is a watch out is that there's a lot of talk about AI, obviously. So and I think if you listen to commercials or everyone is using it as sort of because it's obviously being hyped. What we try to do, like I said, is look at what kind of problems are on the table, what are the challenges that our clients have, and then see, is there a way that AI could potentially help solve
Yeah.
that, or yeah, use it internally to help our clients. So it may be not at the client side, but then internally on our end.
Yeah, understood. Would you say that the industry is at a pinnacle point at the moment of transformation? Do you think that we're in that sort of, because obviously in any industry there's peaks and troughs and things go, sometimes they steady out a little bit, but it feels like, and I could be wrong, but from the clients I speak to and the candidates, obviously I speak to candidates all day long, it feels like a period of transformation slash undertones of feeling very unsettled. No one quite understands, or no one really knows where they sit with things, probably just because there's such a shortage of jobs as well.
I think that already started basically with the introduction of Chat GPT, to be honest. So I think that already started at the beginning of this year. And also, if you see the uptake, I think that was the thing that was, if you look at all the social media, etc., within, I don't know, no time, the amount of followers and the amount of people that we're talking about. So I think that whole transformation is already happening. And like I said, the question is then, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to embrace it? How are you going to integrate it in the services you provide, or applications that you're building, or how you service your clients? But yeah, is that transformation happening? 100%. But like I said, I think it already started at the beginning of this year.
Yeah, agreed. Perfect. Right, I want to talk to you a little bit about you now. So we've done AI. I want to talk to you about you because I find your story fascinating. I've done quite a lot of travel and things myself and kind of moved around a little bit, but never quite the story. We spoke before this podcast and you told me about kind of moving cities and moving countries, and how has that played a part in your success, and is it necessary to be as ballsy as you are to be a woman in the industry? And I try never to go down the gender route. I never think it's female entrepreneur. I'm very much about empowerment, but across anyone. But how has your background empowered your success, do you think?
I think I'm a strong believer of, it's all about the mindset. If you put your mind to things, you can achieve basically anything. That's at least what I think. Do you have to be bossy? I don't know. I don't really see it that way. For me, it's more, I see how inspired I get by like I said, when I moved to Brussels, it definitely inspired me on discovering a new city, basically rebuilding your life. And gave me a lot of energy as well. So, and some people do call it ballsy. I mean, some of my friends said, "Wow, I would never do that." So,
I think it's very ballsy.
But I think it's curiosity also. I believe you never stop learning. So I always wanted to move at some point, but I thought it would never happen in my career already, quite being quite advanced. And then the opportunity came by. Also, I must admit, I don't have children. Wasn't in a relationship at the time, so it's very easy to pick up your bags and go somewhere else. Obviously, that's very different if you have a family behind you. But like I said, if you put your mind to things, I truly believe you can achieve almost anything. Also in finding the job, when I was so confident I could find something, and in all honesty, I thought that would happen within like 3 months. It took me, in the end, it took 6 months, which is fine. But also there, I always believe that if you want to work, there's work. So yeah, and maybe not 100% a job, that I would go for, but I do believe there's a job out there. And one of my, also when I started my own company, it's more about, what's the worst thing that could happen, right? Is that I didn't succeed in London and had to go back to the Netherlands. Is that the end of the world? No, not really. So it's, I don't know, weighing all those things makes it maybe easier, or yeah, like I said, for me, it doesn't feel like, and also I'm not really scared about anything. If you live your life like, what's the worst that can happen, then you're fine.
I like that. I like that. When I used to work in television, we had a saying, which I'm sure you've heard of, but it's only TV, no one died. And I think sometimes you get so caught up in your own purpose and your own, we need to get this deadline out and we need to do that. But thank God I'm not in a job where it's someone's life or they die. Thank God, because I wouldn't be able to cope with that kind of pressure, I don't think. Thankfully, there are people out there that can. talk to me about the mindset aspect. How long? Because it's not a new thing now to talk about, meditation and mindset and mental health. It's not new. However, I would say that the daily habit or the daily practice of it is something that has definitely in the last couple of years been encouraged. But I certainly didn't grow up with it being, if
No.
you do your daily affirmations, if you have your mindset, none of that was spoken about. That's in the last couple of years. So talk to me about how you feel. Like, it's obviously very important to you. How and when did that journey start for you?
I think basically that probably already started as a kid. Well, I wouldn't say I had a difficult childhood, but it wasn't an easy one. Parents got divorced. My father died when I was 15, so you grow up quite quickly. But it did teach me to like I said to look forward, to see, okay, what did I learn from it? How did things evolve, and how can you get better? Or like I said, if take the loss, but then turn it into something positive. So I think that started already quite when I was very young. I fully agree that, talking about mindset, I had a burnout 13 years ago. And the funny thing was that I had two things in my head. Was one, I'm going to get out of it. I just didn't know how long it was going to take. And second thing was, I'm going to start my own business because I thought it was time. So that in itself, and I think in the end that pulled me through. I have to admit that that was probably one of the toughest years I had. But it taught me a lot, and I it came out a lot stronger than before. But also being more mindful in the balance between work and personal life. It also made me start doing sports or workouts, and start to work out with a personal trainer. That really helped also in that mindset. I think sports is an important part, or at least exercise. That really helps getting the right balance between personal life and work life. So I think it sort of have to do with things that you came across when I was young, and then also wanting to be independent, seeing how divorce of my parents did not help in that respect. Well, it helped me to define, okay, I want to make sure that I take care of myself, and I would never be depending on someone. So that helped me steer and probably be as ambitious as I am today.
Would you say that your mindset and the way that your attitude to life and problems is the reason you're successful? How you deal with it?
Yeah, probably. It's weird to say that about yourself, but yeah, I think it did in a way. But if you try to look, I mean, everyone it comes across challenges or sad things that happen to them in life. If you are able to turn that around into something positive, and like I said, learn from it, or yeah, then it would definitely help you in building a strong character, I think.
Do you
100%.
have like a daily habit that you do, like a ritual, or do you do something every day? You jump out of bed and meditate for 2 minutes, or do you write your affirmations, or
I jump out of bed and then go to the gym. And I started boxing. Yeah, I did a I did a boxing match last year,
wow.
as a white collar boxing match. It was for a good cause. But it's sort of it's great. Go to the gym at 6:30, 6:45, and then have 45 minutes, 1 hour. Be completely exhausted when you get out of it, but it really helps in feeling good. So
Yeah.
basically, that is my ritual. I did have a coach a couple of years back, and she told me, before you go to sleep, or when you wake up, before you go to sleep, think of three good things that happened to you during the day, or before you wake up. Think of three nice things you want to do for that day, or that you're happy about. And it really helped as well in getting a positive mindset. And the funny thing is, the more positive you are, and it's sort of broadcasts an energy, and that is also what you get back from other people. So I do believe that the better you feel inside, and the better you feel in general, will help you to get positive input from other people.
And you still do that now?
Sometimes, I must admit, not as much as I did before. Sometimes it's just too early. Just need to wait, get
Feel
out
like you
of
just need
bed.
to get to the gym.
Yes. No, so, but I do think about that. And also, she made me create this mood board, which is still hanging on the inside of my closet. So I still
Yeah,
say, and pictured as in, where would you want to be in 5 years from now? And it's still out there. And I must admit, I ticked quite a lot of boxes already, which is good. And that also helps you, set goals for yourself, but make them achievable. Not something that is, out of your reach, or it's going to take you like 20 years to get there. Make them smaller, and that is still something I do today. Yes.
I feel the need to show you this now that we're talking about that, because have I have taped this, my mood board, to my computer. So I have that, and I found that because I have a garden office, and I found that when obviously this year has been challenging, it's been challenging for us too. But having this attached to my computer has been very, very helpful, so that I can't ever make excuses to be like, oh, this is a tough day. I'm like, no, you've got goals.
Very good. The only thing you need to do is you need to update him once in a while,
Yes, I
to
have
make sure
updated
that
that a couple of times this year already.
I need to update mine. But yeah, no, but I think that coaching really helped me as well in growing confidence, but also having for the mindset. So I
Mm.
can definitely recommend, if you do have the opportunity to, to get a coach, or at some point in your life, it definitely helps you see things in a different way, get a new perspective on things, which are, for me at least, very
Mm.
helpful.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. It was probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I did a mindfulness, before it became a thing, a mindfulness course for a
I did
couple of
that as
months.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
did you? I just found it so transformative. And I've done lots of things since then about, your mindset and things like that. But I think for me, the challenge I find is I'm really good at it for a few weeks or a month, or, I'll do my journal, or I get up and I do, and it's the consistency. And I think if you can get past, I think they say, I mean, it's different. I think they say 66 days or something. If you can do something for 66 days, it becomes a habit. And
Okay.
that's what I'm trying to get to. But it's tough.
I know. I think meditating. I find that one of the hardest things. I don't have the patience for it.
Mm,
Same with yoga. I mean, it's very good for you. It's good for your body. I need to. I don't know. I find it hard to relax, but I also find it hard to, you know.
yeah, same.
Uh,
I find that side of my personality comes through where I'm then annoyed at myself because I don't feel like I've done it properly. And I think the point is to not put that judgment on yourself and just enjoy it.
True. No, absolutely. Now you mentioned it, it might be good to get back into it, because they do say it's very good for the mindset.
Mm,
But like I said, currently the gym is giving me a lot of that as well, which I find helpful. So and that's something in my system which I consistently keep doing, which is good,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
good. Right, before we wrap up, I'd love to know what's next for you, Nicole. Personally, professionally, you've moved around a bit, plans to go home, plans to
Um,
climb Mount Everest. What's your next thing?
well, I've done the boxing match, so that one can tell. No, no, it's funny. Another thing I taught myself is be very much in the now. So if you ask me where you're going to be in 5 years, I can't tell you. Obviously, I would like to grow in my career. So career-wise, I still am very ambitious. I still have there's so many things I still want to do. Regarding at the place where I am today in London, I don't see myself moving anytime soon. I love the city. I just sold my flat in Amsterdam, so cutting all the cords. I don't see
Wow.
myself going back to the Netherlands either. So I think I'm in a very good place, let's say geographically, career-wise. There's still a lot, for me to do, and grow. Um, what else? There's some trips I want to make, and I would love to travel a bit more. I haven't done that much. So that's definitely on the list, and there are a couple of places I really would like to visit. South Africa for one.
Oh, yeah, South Africa's beautiful, yeah.
Yes. So but yeah, if you ask me where you're going to be in 5 years from now, probably in London. Just don't know exactly where
Love
at.
that. I love that. I tell you what, next year I'm going to make after this, I'm going to put in my calendar to schedule a podcast for 1 year from now.
Okay, cool.
Let's
I'll
find out
be
where
in it.
we're at.
Would love to.
Nicole, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Likewise, and thank you for having me.
Of
It
course.
was my. All right.
Thank you guys for watching. Take care. Bye.